Good afternoon and welcome to the Leadership Love Languages. My name is Danielle Trent and I am the staff trainer here in the Teaching, Learning, and Learning Center at Lone Star College LSC-CyFair. Thank you for joining us today. So a little bit about the content today. Where I drew my research from was from firstly the 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman and the book What Motivates Me by Adrian Gostick and Chester Elton. Both of these books, they really build upon initially what you might have heard of the 5 Love Languages before. And the 5 Love Languages are used in the capacity of personal relationships. So today what we did was we combined the work of Gary Chapman with the excuse me, the motivators and the works from Adrian Gostick and Chester Elton to align them so we can have some really positive interactions with appreciating and showing gratitude to those that we work with in an authentic way. So, firstly, let's talk about leaders and leadership in general. Who are the leaders? What is the traditional leadership profile? So, I very intentionally put this picture here, pointing towards you, the audience. You are the leaders, regardless of your current position here at Lone Star, whether it be a managerial position or not. We all lead from where we are. And we have the power of influence through our actions and our interactions with others. So, leadership is not one size fits all. I want to start out today by us working through different leadership styles. And so, just like any other profile or personality or workplace type test, these are not one size fits all. In that, when we go over each of these leadership styles, you might find that you align with more than one of these. But ultimately, there is a predominant or dominant identity that you would align with. So, these are by Goleman. These are the Goleman leadership styles. So I want to go over these and I want to go over a way of defining them so we can understand a bit further and perhaps identify what type of leadership we are personally. So as you can see here, there's different colors and different leadership styles. We start with commanding, and each of these has a modus operandi, which is how our operation mode. This is how we operate in each of these individual leadership styles. The style in a phrase, underlying emotional intelligence competencies. And emotional intelligence is our capacity for empathy, to put ourselves in someone else's shoes and be able to make those genuine connections, and when the style works best. Let's start out with commanding as a leadership style. The modus operandi of this is that commanding leaders demand immediate compliance. The style in a phrase is do as I say. The underlying emotional intelligence competencies drive to achieve, initiative, and self-control. And when this style works best is in a crisis, to kickstart a turnaround, or with employee personnel issues. Next, we have the visionary. They lead and operate by mobilizing people toward a vision. The style in a phrase is come with me. Emotional intelligence competencies are self-confidence, empathy, and they are a catalyst for change. They work best when changes require a new vision or clear direction is needed. Next, we have the affiliative leader. These leaders operate by creating harmony and building emotional bonds. Their phrase is people come first. They have underlying emotional intelligence competencies of empathy, building relationships, and communication. They work best when they're healing rifts in a team or motivating people during stressful circumstances. Next, we have the democratic leader, and about the affiliative leader, that might also be aligned with the term servants leadership as well. Next, we go to the democratic leader. They forge a consensus through participation. That's how they operate. Their phrase, what do you think? Finding the value in getting input from others. Their emotional intelligence competencies, collaboration, team leadership, and communication. And they work best to buy build-in or a consensus or to get input from valuable employees. Next, we have the pace setting. They set high standards for performance. That's how they operate. They say, do at my pace. They're very conscientious. They drive to achieve and they have initiative that's very strong. They work best to get quick results from a highly motivated and competent team. Lastly, but not least, we have coaching leaders. They develop people for the future as they operate. Their phrase, try this. Emotional intelligence competencies, they develop others, that empathy and self-awareness. Ultimately, they want to help improve and work best when they improve performances or develop long-term strengths. So I want you to think about which of these you identify with the most. Here's another way of looking at it. This is from Indeed, and these have a few different ones, but this is you'll see some familiar terms as well, but they have different types of leaders as well. The coach, the visionary, the servant, the autocratic, laissez-faire or hands-off leader, the democratic, the pace setter, the transformational, and the transactional, and the bureaucratic. And so you can also identify yourselves in this way if this one's more comfortable. All of this ultimately is to define you foundationally as a leader. If you understand how you lead, then you can better connect with how you appreciate and extend gratitude and thankfulness to your team and those that you work with. So once again, despite what level that you are in here, I think we are all leaders. And ultimately, it is imperative to work on yourself as much as possible while also focusing on uplifting your team members. It's not only the right and kind thing to do, it dramatically increases the morale and productivity of your company. When you have the admiration and respect of your colleagues, it is a precious thing and should not be taken lightly. So we lead others by understanding their motivations, and then in turn, by evaluating their motivations, we can further understand how to appreciate them. And I'm going to go deeper in that in a little bit later. But each of us wants to know that what we are doing matters, right? And without a sense of being valued, we feel like a machine or just a cog or simply a commodity. And that's why recognition and connecting with others must be individualized and delivered personally. Appreciation needs to be viewed as valuable to make an impact. Quote unquote burnout can occur when individuals do not feel appreciated or supported by their supervisors or their teams. So what is burnout? Let's talk about that for a second because it's very important in the context of what we're talking about today in appreciation and connection. Burnout, according to a 2020 Gallup study, 76% of respondents said that they experience burnout at least sometimes. And that number has probably risen because of COVID, in which people have had to juggle work, caregiving, and the overwhelming stress and anxiety. In this day and age, we are consistently bombarded with information, right? We all have screens that feed us a 24/7 feed of information. And with the stressful times that we've been through in the past couple of years, that has definitely taken a toll on all of us. And I'm sure years from now, there will be psychological studies and ramifications that we don't even understand. But for a lot of people, and like you said, that's a really high number. That's over the majority. 76% have said they've experienced burnout. How long does burnout last? And it depends on the individual and a lot of different factors like the intensity of the burnout and the quality of the recovery of the individual. It can last from anywhere between 12 weeks and 5 years. and everything in between. So that tells you that it's a serious issue, and it's one that we are going to have to reckon with as leaders, as managers, as just team members in general. In that, if we do not address burnout and we do not properly and appropriately and individually encourage the people we're working with, we're going to see this more and more and become more and more common. So, what we're focusing on today, most of you are probably familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It starts at the bottom of the pyramid with physiological, in that, in order for, these are all human needs according to Maslow, in that physiological is our physical well-being. If we have that taken care of, we then focus on safety. Are we safe? Are we in a space where we are not in the fight or flight response? Where we are going to be focusing today is on the yellow and the green, or the love and belonging and the esteem categories. This is where we are going to meet the needs, learn to meet the needs of our coworkers, our team members, are people that are around us in a professional arena. Ultimately, that leads to self-actualization once love and belonging and esteem are taken care of. So by doing this process, we are taking individualization in meeting our employees and meeting our coworkers in a holistic way. The way we are going to approach that today is we are going to discuss the different motivators that individuals have in the workplace for working. What is their purpose? Why did they get out of bed in the morning and show up at work? So the book, What Motivates Me, Adrian Gostick and Chester Elton had a poll of over 600,000 individuals that they surveyed. And ultimately, they came up with these 23 motivators as the top motivators for everyone in the workplace overall from that study. The motivators are as follows: autonomy, challenge, creativity, developing others, empathy, excelling, excitement, family, friendship, fun, impact, learning, money, ownership, pressure, prestige, problem solving, purpose, recognition, service, social responsibility, teamwork, and variety. So I say these individually so we can have some more time to ponder them. These 23 motivators are, from the poll, the ultimate motivators from each of us in the workplace. Moving a little further, we have the motivators, but we also have the identities. And that's what these 5 different boxes are here. If you notice, there's 5 identities, and the smaller text at the bottom are the motivators that we saw in the previous slide. And so what they did with their research in What Motivates Me is take the 23 motivators and divide them into these identities. The identities are as follows: the reward driven, the caregivers, the thinkers, the builders, and the achievers. We are going to take each of these identities and we are going to use them as a template to identify the needs of our workers as far as appreciation. What is their love language? We are putting their love language under each of these 5 domains or identities. So finally, what are the 5 leadership love languages? These might look familiar because some of them are similar or the same to the 5 love languages of Gary Chapman when he talked about personal relationships, but they are tweaked a little bit, designed specifically for the workplace. Firstly, we have words of affirmation, then career development, tangible rewards, quality time, and acts of service. So let's start out with the foundational leadership love language, which is words of affirmation. It is meaningful, genuine, and impactful. Why is this the foundational leadership love language? Because it is the foundational love language out of the study. It far exceeds all of the other love languages in the regular love language study and in the leadership one as well. So this is seen as the most highly regarded language of appreciation, of gratitude, of thankfulness for both personal and professional arenas. So, as you can see to the right, the people that would benefit most from this type of love language or appreciation or gratitude are the caregivers. And you notice the motivators under there are empathy, family, and fun. So we see here's some examples of some specific ways to give those words of affirmation to your team or coworkers. I just want to let you know how proud of you I am for all your hard work on this project. You work really hard for us. Even when things might feel tough, I just want you to know how appreciative I am. I feel so lucky to work with you on my team. I am here if you need me, and I want to help support you in any way I can. Wow, you did an amazing job on that project. I am very proud of you. And so you might notice that in each of these, I used I statements, starting with the word I. That gives ownership to the extension of gratitude to our statement. When we use I statements, we're taking ownership and we're letting them know this is how we feel, as opposed to assigning something to someone else, like you did this or you did that. We want to use I language because it gives us that ownership to extend to those we are appreciating. And yeah, we say it a lot, but words of affirmation is certainly the simplest way to appreciate someone. And we assign the caregivers as the ones who would appreciate this love language the most as far as the workplace. However, this could work on a foundational level for everyone. Showing them those words of affirmation is very meaningful, genuine, and impactful. But be sure when using this particular love language that you are genuine. People can certainly spot and recognize when you are saying something, then you have no meaning or you have no belief behind it. So make sure when you use each of these love languages that you are genuine and you are showing genuine, authentic gratitude and thankfulness. Career development. This is the second of the languages of love that we have as leaders to our coworkers and our team members. So the individual identity that most aligns with career development as a love language are the thinkers, those that appreciate autonomy, creativity, excitement, impact, learning, and variety. Several employees have the inherent urge to grow and evolve in their careers and to feel like they're growing with an organization, a company, a school, and they feel a strong sense of accomplishment and self-worth in what they are doing. So what can you do to help them develop their career? You can sit down with them, develop a career path with the individual, a growth plan. Encourage and offer professional development. The Teaching and Learning Center, we certainly have a robust catalog and selection of professional development opportunities. That is always an option to send your team, send your employees, send people from your organization to go to classes that we hold, as well as outside professional development opportunities as well. When those opportunities come up and you have it in your budget, encourage them to go, and then encourage them when they come back to share what they've learned. So the professional development component is very huge to career development. Encourage them to follow their passions and give them more responsibilities that require autonomy, where they take ownership and they have that creative control, that's going to help them to be excited, feel like they're going to make an impact, and a variety of responsibilities that makes their day to day not so the same, not so mundane. That's what the thinkers are going to highly value in you extending your gratitude and opportunities to them. So, tangible rewards. This type of appreciation is going to align with the identity, the reward driven, the most, those that honor money, prestige, and recognition. So sometimes I put dollar signs, question mark, at Lone Star. Sometimes that's out of our hands, right? Sometimes what if the only way to make more money would be to get, a yearly raise or to apply to another position, which is part of this, and we'll talk about in a second. But when you can't give financial compensation for those that are motivated by reward driven, there are other opportunities to reward them as well. So the first of that is opportunities for growth. Make sure that they are aware of positions that might bring them that prestige and recognition they are looking for. Be a reference and be a champion for them in that. Ultimately, these individuals like prestige and recognition in a crowd, among peers, among supervisors, among other leaders on their campus or campus wide. They like that type of prestigious recognition. And finally, they appreciate something that's tangible, something like an award plaque or a trophy, certificates, things they can touch, things that they can display and keep. And that's going to make a huge difference in those individuals that are motivated by rewards in the workplace. Quality time. Quality time best aligns with our achievers, and we're going to explain how. The achievers thrive on challenge, excelling, ownership, pressure, and problem solving. So, what can you do to an individual who is most grateful for quality time with you? Firstly, brainstorm. Make the time to brainstorm with these individuals. I fall very heavily in this category with my motivations. I like challenge, I like taking ownership, and I like pressure and problem solving. So I appreciate when I'm able to receive new complex projects with lots of moving parts. I appreciate strict deadlines and soft skill challenges that might require some higher level of problem solving. Offer them the opportunity to be a leader in group projects and value their input and put it into action. And so this is spending the time to listen and learn from the individual you are that you're interacting with, and be able to value their input and hear it. Really listening is going to generate that quality time. Some rules of thumb that you can think of as well is that when you spend a quality time with these individuals as a show of gratitude, be sure to put your phone down, turn your body toward them to show that positive, open body language. Stay off your phone. Be sure to give them your full attention. That is going to help the individual feel respected, admired, and ultimately important in your eyes. Acts of service. So this is most closely aligned to what I would call servant leadership. I put the picture up here for a very specific reason. I have a really great example of a servant leader that I used to work for. When I first got out of college several years ago, I worked at a car dealership, and we had a very wonderful general manager. Our general manager was the type of leader that would roll up his sleeves and do anything that needed to be done to help the culture or to help any any department in the dealership. Acts of service most align with the builders, developing others, friendship, purpose, service, social responsibility, and teamwork. So, anyways, our individual here, my general manager, one day we had called the printing company because our printer was not working. It needed the cartridge changed. Well, our general manager decided that he didn't want our employees to be without printing anymore. Therefore, he started working on the printer, and the printer in turn blew up on him when he was changing the cartridge and ruined his shirt. That shirt was probably fairly expensive, because he had a very high profile position. But it didn't faze him at all because he believed in serving and service leadership, in that he would not ask his employees to do anything that he would not be willing to do himself. And he reflected that behavior and attitude just simply by his actions. He was true to his actions and true to his word. Another time, when we were short staffed on a Saturday in the service department, he once again rolled up his sleeves, went to help change the oil and change tires on vehicles that were needing it because they were short staffed in the shop area. And so once again, he wouldn't ask anyone to do anything he wasn't willing to do himself. And he demonstrated that by action. So that was a very powerful acts of service examples and really aligns with servant leadership. What do you do for those individuals who are really who really prioritize the building of relationships? You do acts of service. Firstly, just talk to your employees, call them, or stop by to put all on the same level, because no one else is above anyone else in this world. And that's what the whole definition of servant leadership is, serving and doing the same thing as others. Ask the individual on your team if they need anything. Maybe they just want something simple as a small cup of coffee. If so, go ahead and get them a cup of coffee so they can complete their work. Or they may want to have you read over or edit a large project for them. Just showing them that you're on their side and willing to do anything to help them succeed in their role. You are gaining their trust, loyalty, and respect. And in turn, you get a highly effective employee that is a huge morale booster. So after we've seen all these, in summation to each of those languages of gratitude, as a leader, it is your responsibility to meet the needs of each of these love languages to create an environment where your team members can thrive. And so here I liked this. It said that happiness is an immeasurable asset. Although we cannot physically measure and compare it, it is an invaluable commodity in the workplace and one that is attainable with the use of leadership love languages. What about you, though? What about those times where you're needing some recognition? Who's going to encourage you? Let's talk about that for a second. As leaders, most of the individuals that I come across at Lone Star are servant leaders, and they believe in empowering others and building others up. However, sometimes they forget to pour into their own cup, so to speak, in that they have such a capacity for empathy and care for others that they almost forget that they need to have empathy and care for themselves. And so I challenge you that when you do a great job, honor your contributions. It really aligns with the LSC focus cultural belief, own it, which is defined as I bring my best, rise above challenges, and own my contributions. They lead by example, and you model the behavior of owning it. And celebrate when you have a win, when you have something that has connected with others. It is very, important to remember that you are just as valuable and you do bring value in the role that you are in. Honor that contribution. Furthermore, how do you do that? That's you as well to determine what your leadership love language is. Is it, giving yourself words of affirmation? Is it giving yourself a challenge? Is it just pouring into yourself, getting yourself a physical, tangible reward or treat? It could be all different components of these, but don't forget to do that for yourself. It is so important to remember to pour into ourselves and as we do with others. It's like that old adage, you put your oxygen mask on first because if you don't have oxygen, you can't help the person next to you or the individual. And so it's just really important to pour into yourself, remember the proponents of self care, and invest in yourself and own it when you have those celebrations and contributions that are really successful. So that is the bulk of my presentation today. I thank you for coming. I thank you for watching. I highly encourage you to reach out to me or any of my coworkers, my team in the Teaching and Learning Center. We are here for you for your professional and personal development. If you ever have a need for a customized session or training, let us know. We do that as well. And keep an eye out to your emails for all of our upcoming events. Thank you.